everybody, it's Elisa here. So today I'm actually gonna do another Skype interview with one of my former clients, and her name is Becky, and we worked together for 6 months. And she comes from a background of having an eating disorder, anorexia, for I think it was like 18 years, and also issues with overexercising. So today we're gonna talk about all about her journey, how was the recovery, and also where she is today. So I know it's gonna be very inspiring for you to watch and listen to this interview. So I really hope you're gonna enjoy. So hi Becky, thank you so much for doing this interview.
Hi Lisa, it's so good to see you again.
Yeah, so maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself to the viewers.
Yeah, so I have fully recovered from an eating disorder. I struggled with one for nearly 20 years. And now I work as a recovery coach, and I'm starting a recovery center with Tabitha Farrar. And just feel really passionate about the work that I do because I've walked in those shoes and I know what that struggle feels like. And so I truly enjoy watching other people see the light or come to that same freedom that I feel like I experienced. So
yeah, like I am so proud of you and seeing your progress in the past like year and everything. So I think it's totally like amazing where you are today. But maybe we can go a little bit backwards, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about like how did your eating disorder start and your story.
Yeah. So I, as a kid, was always, and when I tell my story, this does not go for everyone. This is sort of more of a stereotypical kind of what they say most people with eating disorders personalities have, but I don't really agree with that. However, for me, hold on, Elisa, we're gonna have to cut this, but I've got to. Oh my gosh, I have the lawnmower that just came over.
Okay.
As a kid, I was always very much I always wanted to be the best at everything that I did. Mm-hmm. You may call me like an overachiever or somewhat of a perfectionist. And I was very much into sports. So when I started, I played sports up to high school. When I started high school, I decided I was going to really focus on volleyball. And I ended up playing or getting a scholarship in college to play volleyball. And when I look back now, I wasn't diagnosed until college with an eating disorder. When I look back now, it started a couple of years before that. Because I do remember that's when I started weighing myself, and I started being more aware of what I was eating and trying to make healthier choices. And I thought it was all in the name of like being a better athlete, and that it would really improve my volleyball if I was watching what I ate and exercising a little bit more. I remember I started going to the gym then. But all of those things weren't really like red flags to anybody because it just seemed kind of like normal stuff. And then when I went to college and started to play really competitively and was really overwhelmed with classes and schoolwork and just a new environment, living on my own, I naturally kind of fell into a caloric deficit without really trying, I guess. I was just pushing myself to be the best I could be at volleyball and get the best grades that I could and do all these things. And before I knew it, it felt like it was really out of control. I felt like I was kind of deeply entrenched in something that I had no idea was even possible, because I never felt insecure about my body. I never had like thoughts that I, need to lose weight or anything. It was always just kind of more so sports driven, and just thought that if I jumped higher and was faster, that would make me better. And so I was diagnosed in college with anorexia. And I remember feeling really confused, just like, I don't know how I got here. I don't know what's happened to my brain. I feel like somebody's hijacked my brain. This does not feel like me at all. And I don't really know how to get out of this. And so throughout the past, almost 2 decades, I struggled with what was anorexia for a really, really long time, in treatment centers and day programs and a handful of therapists and dietitians, and just never quite felt like I felt free. I never felt recovered. I would go through like little waves of quasi recovery, or where I was feeling like I was doing a little bit better, but I always felt like I was white knuckling it. It always felt so hard. I just thought this like, this is what it means when people say you're going to live with this forever. I guess this is it, you know? And so it just kind of felt like, and then before I knew it, I had relapsed back. It's so hard to maintain. That was not sustainable to sit there for so long. So I just kind of go back and forth, back and forth. My inpatient experiences usually left me having put on weight, but then nothing changed with my brain. And so I'd come back, and within months, you know, fall right back into the same behaviors and the thought process that I was currently or prior having. And before I knew it, I was fully relapsed. And each relapse seemed like it got harder and harder to pull myself out of. And I kind of morphed anorexia into orthorexia. So there was always an exercise compulsive factor to my eating disorder, and it kind of morphed into orthorexia. So I lived with orthorexia for probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and genuinely thought I was recovered. Like I thought that was recovery because I was taking care of my health and I was eating all this food, and, you know, I was exercising, but what we weren't seeing is, like, I was eating all this food, but I was measuring every single ounce that I ate. My macros had to look quickly. I couldn't go out to eat at a restaurant. I had to pack and prep my food if I went on a vacation. I worked out hours and hours endlessly in the gym, extremely intense. Like, that was not recovery at all. That's not looking out for your health. That is not sustainable. It was eventually going to kill me. So what got me to a place where I finally realized, like, I need to figure this out. And I guess if you fast forward, so I did have children through IVF. I have 3 kids, twins and a daughter. So my twins are a boy and a girl. My daughter's obviously a girl, 9-year-old twins and 7-year-old daughter. And they were all 3 IVF and very, very, very complicated pregnancies. When I look back now, it's sad that I put myself and my family through so much stress and heartache with the complications that went on. I'm so grateful that I have 3 healthy children throughout it or from it, but it was not ideal. And when I think back now, I'm like, I can't believe that those doctors actually thought that was a good idea to have me have children and be a mom. But either way, I have my children now, and I'm so grateful for that. But I did, within about 6 months of my period starting, within 6 months of my eating disorder starting, like being diagnosed, I'd lost my period. And then within about 7 months into full recovery was when my period came back. And I was told that it would never come back. I went through early menopause in my 20s. There's no way. And I just thought, okay, like, I'm not recovering just to get my period back. It'd be nice if I did, because I know it's not healthy to not have one, but it was just kind of like something I didn't really ever think would happen. And when it came back, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. My body works. I can't believe it. And I know some people, when they start their eating disorder, are like, okay, I can back off now. Like, my body must be fine and be working.
Yeah.
For me, it was like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, holy cow, my body is so resilient. I can't believe I'm forgiving it. Yeah, it's working. So for me, it was like this push forward to just keep going, because I knew my mind wasn't there yet. And so that was such an exhilarating day. I remember having friends like drop off boxes of tampons with cards. And they knew that was a big deal for me. So it was really exciting.
Celebration.
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, it was like a really exciting time. And so I say that to give people hope that haven't had theirs for so long. Clients of mine will be like, well, I had my period in 10 years. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it's been. Your body is so brilliant. So what got me to fully recover, though, kind of going back to where I was about to talk about, I got to a point where I just couldn't handle the lifestyle anymore. I talked this in one of my YouTube videos recently, but I was on a houseboat with my entire family. And we had 2 Yeti coolers that if you don't know what those are, you like take them camping. They keep things frozen for a really long time. And I had 2 Yeti coolers that I was loading onto the houseboat full of prepped meals that I had labeled for each meal and each day on the houseboat. Everyone else was just, loading up who knows what food. No one cared. My mom bought it all and put it on the houseboat. And I had these 2 coolers that no one could touch. I had them like hidden in the back corner, and I pull out my meal and eat it. And I remember thinking, I don't want to live this way anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of this. I feel like a slave to my eating disorder. This isn't okay. And when we got back and I remember totally obsessing over the fact that I couldn't work out. It was like all consuming to me. My anxiety was so high on that trip. I tried to act like I was having fun, enjoying myself, but I was so tense the whole week. And so when we got back, I was like, okay, I have to figure this out. Like, I am at my wit's end. I can't do this anymore. So I checked myself into a day program, like a conventional treatment center. And within the first week, they had diagnosed me with bradycardia. So like really low heart rate, and my EKG was off, and lab work was bad, and all these things that they diagnosed me with, and they wanted me to go inpatient. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that again. I am not going inpatient again. And so I did go AMA against medical advice. And I remember as I was leaving, the dietitian called me into her office and said, I just think this is a really bad idea that you're making. I don't think that you're going to do this on your own. I've never seen anybody with the history that you have that's been able to successfully recover on their own. Mm-hmm. And that was all I needed to hear. Like, I will never forget that, but she said that to me, and I said, thank you. And I walked out, I got in my car, and I drove myself to my favorite pizza place that I never let myself eat. And I ordered myself a pizza. I ate the full pizza while I sat there and wrote down the commitments and the things that I knew I had to stop doing if I wanted to be recovered, or the things I knew I had to start doing if I did want to get recovered. Mm-hmm. And I never will forget that day, because it was the most empowering feeling. I was terrified eating that pizza. I was shaking mm-hmm. and almost crying, sitting there by myself eating it, but just thinking like, whatever it takes, this is going to be very bold. Whatever I have to do, I'm going to do it, because I can't, no one's going to tell me I can't. Like, who is she to tell me that I can't? I realized that was the kind of crap that I was fed for 20 years in treatment centers. So it's never news on your own. You can't do it. You're treating me like I'm powerless and that I just can't do this. And that just isn't the case. Like, absolutely anybody that decides can do it. Mm-hmm. And so I haven't yet, but I want to thank that dietitian one of these days and just tell her, like, you helped me realize that actually I do have a lot of power and I can do this on my own. And when I say on my own, with the help, obviously, of coaches and family and support and whatnot, I don't know if your viewers know, but I had you as a coach, and you were a game changer for me. I'm a little plug for Elisa. She's an amazing coach, and was just so, with you, I knew that you were really invested in my well-being, and I knew that you wanted it for me so bad. I wanted it for me so bad, and working together was just, there was such a positive energy there, and you just are always there to kind of reassure me, keep me focused on those bad days, keep pushing me. And so I'm just so grateful for you because of working with you. I remember shortly after starting working with you, I was like, I am going to be a coach. Like, this seems like the most gratifying job ever. One, and two, so helpful. Like, it genuinely was such a help in my recovery. So thank you so much for all the hours and time that you put into helping me through my recovery.
Oh my God, I love to hear this. It's just like feeding me so much right now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, because now I'm like, oh, I totally understand how you were so involved. So I was like, gosh, she like puts in way more work than she's getting paid for. She genuinely cares so much. And now I get it, because it really is like you would do anything to help them at any moment. If they're calling in a crisis or they're having a panic attack, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here for you. You got it. You can do it. Keep going. It's just being that sound of reason when the eating disorder is screaming so loud that I think a coach helps with so much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But on your end, I feel like what really helped you to recover was because like you were so committed and you were so invested and you were emailing me every day. Like, I don't even know in like 6 months you missed a day, and I think this is the level of commitment, and even the hardest days and everything, and also like to do the work, like apply everything and to like make it work, like no matter what, like and this was the mindset that I had, like no matter what, like just committed, right. Not recovering is not an option, and I will do it even if I have to, I don't know, die trying, or I don't even care, I have to do it.
Right, totally. And recognizing that like every day wasn't going to be perfect. And I hated sending emails where I was like, I was crap today. I didn't do this or this, and I did this or whatever. Like, I hated those emails, but I was able to write them out and kind of reassess and see where I made mistakes and then improve the next day. And so for me, like documenting that every day and being accountable, not only to you, but to myself, was really, really helpful. I have my clients do the same thing, because I feel like, I mean, if you speak to someone once a week, a lot can happen in a week. They can do good that day. You talk to them, and then 6 days of nothing, they're not improving at all, and then you talk to them again. So it's like, I feel like being able to have that two-way communication with you via email is really helpful. So
yeah. But you also like took, or you went to the treatment centers and you got other types of help, and talking to clients, like I see it all the time as a problem, and obviously I know there's a lot of good treatment centers and help and everything out there as well, but why do you think it didn't work for you all those years, even though you tried so many different things, right?
Yeah. Well, how much time do we have?
I don't know.
Let's see. Where do we start?
What would you do differently? What would you do differently? Let's say.
Good question, because the center we're opening is everything I would have done differently. I guess in treatment centers, and like I said, I personally haven't experienced the ones that are out there that you speak of that are great. I'm sure they're out there. I haven't ever experienced one. But the problem was that it was very much geared towards weight. The focus was like, how much do you weigh? How much are you gaining each day? Based off of how much you gained is how much food you got the following day. I was weighed every morning. I mean, like, how much is going to change overnight? You know, it's like every single morning was so regulated. I remember the people, and this is so, I just can't believe this, but I remember there was two sections, the ones who had anorexia and the ones that struggled with binge eating or bulimia. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Now I see how unfortunate and disturbing that is, that they're treating these two eating disorders that are both driven by restriction so differently. I remember that they had a class for people with bulimia where they would expose them to all of the trigger foods that would set them off for a binge. And they would sit there with them and have them, you know, practice eating in moderation and practice mindful eating, practice stopping after one. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like at the time, like I said, I didn't know any different, but yeah, that is not going to get somebody who has bulimia.
I wouldn't be able to recover like that.
No, I suffer from
yeah.
But based off of friends, clients, people that I know, I can't imagine how that would help somebody. In fact, it would exacerbate the problem. Another thing in treatment centers that I remember is we get on this computer every morning and we would pick our meals for the day. So I knew at 8 o'clock I was eating this, at 12 o'clock I was eating this, and at 6 o'clock I was eating this. So it was like my eating disorder loved that. It loved the structure, loved knowing exactly what to, even if it was pizza, even if it was pasta, something that scared me, at least I knew what it was going to be. And so in the center that we are opening, there's not going to be structure like that. Our goal, and I shouldn't say this because probably no one's going to want to come, but our goal is to tick the eating disorder off. It's to kind of throw different things at you, different situations. It's not going to be the exact same time every day that we're eating a meal. Food's going to be accessible at all times. You have no idea what we're having for lunch. We might go out to lunch. You don't know where we're going. So it's going to be something that is like a normal human. Like if a friend were to call you right now and ask you out to dinner, you wouldn't have to know, 4 days prior that you were going to be going out to dinner. Yeah, sure, let's go. And so we want it to be like that in the center. We want to try to help people to feel so free around food that it doesn't have to like rule their lives. It doesn't have to come first. It can kind of be something that just kind of happens, and that there's no like emotional or anxiety and emotional reaction around times for eating.
Because
and then I do remember
like is about, right? Like it's a real life situation. Right. You don't know.
Totally.
Like it's spontaneous sometimes. It's kind of like, oh, what's going to happen today? And you want people also after leaving the treatment centers to be able to live their normal life and also apply recovery and keep on recovering, not feel like it's totally different in real life.
Right, exactly. And that's why we created the day program, because we will be offering a lot of support and accountability and good discussions around issues that come up in recovery. But it's not going to be 24/7. So it's a day program. So at 3 o'clock they go home and they're accountable to feed themselves the rest of the day. And they're accountable to not act out on OCD or compulsive behaviors. And then they come the next day and are accountable that morning to kind of go over if they had an issue or something came up, or if they were doing great, or kind of what was going on, so that they can kind of get the support, but then also feel the freedom, get the support, but then also be independent and get the confidence they need to know that they can do it on their own. And so that's why we haven't set up an inpatient. The other reason is that it's ran by people who have recovered. And that's something that we like everyone to know very clearly, that is not run by medical professionals or therapists or dietitians. It's just strictly people who have lived experience, who have found freedom and recovery and want to help other people do the same. So
yeah. And you already started to talk about the treatment centers, but we haven't told it to the viewers. So maybe you can tell a little bit about the treatment center.
Sorry,
and what you are involved
hard not to talk about it. When you ask about conventional treatment, I just go straight to that. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So Tabitha, Farrar, and I are starting a eating disorder recovery center. It's going to, like I said earlier, it's going to be a day program. It's called Triple R Recovery Center. It's going to be opening in February 2020. And we've set it up to be 8 weeks at a time. So we'll have, each session will run for 8 weeks. It'll be a Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on the weekends, they will be free to do their own thing, get together with the group, have family visit, whatever they choose on the weekends, and in the evenings as well. And we will offer coaching support and whatnot if they need that first week or two, seeing as how they're living in a new environment. This is all very new to them. But we really encourage them to be as independent as they can from the beginning, giving themselves that permission to eat and being accountable for their decisions. And it's going to be based off of, there will be an educational portion to the center, and it's going to be based off of Tabitha's book, Rehabilitate, Rewire, Recover. So that's where the name comes from, Triple R Recovery Center. And I will be running it. I'll be in the center during operating hours every day. And basically we're just trying to get people to experience living again. Conventional treatment centers are usually sort of depressing and not real life. Like, it's really good to have downtime, and we're really going to emphasize that, but you don't just sit on a couch and, you know, have a class here, and then you eat your meal, and then you have a class and you have your snack, and then you have a class and you do this. That's not real life. So we're going to go to movies. We're going to, you know, depending on someone's physical health, we might go bowling. We're going to see beautiful areas in Utah. We're going to go out to eat.
Maybe I should come.
I know, right?
Sounds fun.
I know. It sounds so fun. I was telling my husband, like, actually, this is going to be like a party. Like, this is going to be fun. Like, this is something that I certainly hope. I hope this doesn't cause people to want to relapse and come back. No. But it is going to be a fun time. And it's going to help people realize, like, recovery is worth it, because living is fun. Being able to do these things, when you get a glimpse of it and experience it in a supportive environment, it's contagious. It makes you want to keep doing it. So it kind of gives you that momentum to keep going when you go home. So that's kind of why we're trying to, as much as we can, we get you're living in a different, you know, place, and you're in a home setting, and you're eating with everybody else. We get that it's not exactly like real life, but it's going to be as similar as we can get it. So you have a lot of confidence when you go home. And it will be in a home setting. So it won't be in like a cold office building. We looked around at all these different locations, and just going back to home setting. It needs to be in a home setting. It needs to feel warm and inviting, comfortable. So yeah.
And we're going to put all the links in the description so people can check it out.
Yeah.
If it's, I don't know, when it's going to be live on February, you said, or?
Yeah, February 3rd to March 27th is that first 8-week program. And something that I'm considering, but haven't announced yet or set in concrete, and I'd be interested to know people's feedback if this is something that they'd want to do or be interested in, is offering a 2-week session, because we recognize this is for adults. Most people either have full-time jobs, or they're a full-time mother, full-time father. We understand that it's hard to get away for 8 weeks for most people, or for a lot of people. And so we wanted to offer, a 2-week session where you could come and kind of get that reboot, that reset, kind of be able to see, what does this actually look like? Because when you're starting recovery and you're eating this amount of food, you eat anything more and you think it's recovery, and you think you're going all in, you're doing all this, but it's oftentimes you underestimate the quantity food your body really, really wants to fully heal. And so this is just kind of an accelerated way of figuring that out, and then going home and being able to kind of have an idea in your head of, what extreme hunger is. That's what like mental hunger feels like. So
because it's very important to kind of get it as soon as you can, like right from the start. So you are kind of like doing it from the start how you're supposed to, and not like wasting time in like quasi recovery or like sabotaging your recovery even without knowing. And yeah,
right.
so
yeah. And I know a lot of people will like baby step their way into it, but it didn't work for me that way. When I tried that for years, like baby stepping in, like, oh, I ate an extra, sweet potato today, or I had like 4 more bites of chicken. Like that is not going to get you to recovery unless
what the eating disorder prefers to do it very slowly, baby steps. It's like easier for the eating disorder, but you want to trigger the eating disorder, right?
Right. To me, it's just standing over a ledge, just wait, like watch. I mean, that's terrifying to be in that place where you're just baby stepping and like slowly. For me, I think the more bold, dramatic, big changes that you can make, the faster that your anxiety will go through the roof. I mean, I can almost promise you that, but recognizing that anxiety is through the roof, and that's kind of where you want it to be to recover, because it kind of has to get there before you're going to have it come down and realize like, I'm okay. The faster you can do that, I feel like the faster you're going to be able to get through that and recognize nothing bad's happening. Your anxiety each time is going to decrease. You're going to find a new normal. It's going to feel better. But yeah, I I was educated and taught by professionals, you can just baby step yourself into this. You don't have to go all the way. And it just felt too careful, and it felt like I was being too mindful, and it just messed with my head. It didn't really fully get me there. So I think what really changed the message the most for me, not just being committed that I was going to recover, but really I think the reason I got there was because I got a message that I cannot eat too much. I can eat unrestrictedly, and not just once I get to like a certain weight and then it's all pulled away. Like, who's going to do that? That's awful. Of course you're going to make it last 10 years, because once you get there, it's like the food's gone. And so for me, it was like, wait, you're telling me I can eat as much as I want now. I can get to whatever weight my body wants to be, and then I can eat as much as I want for the rest of my life. Yeah. This sounds like a good deal. Let's do this. Of course it was uncomfortable to gain the weight. And of course it was really uncomfortable to go past what I thought my weight was supposed to be, or past the BMI I thought I was going to stay at. But once you kind of get a glimmer and a feel for what that feels like when you see that freedom that it brings you, like I genuinely can say I could not care less about what my weight is, because I'm so much happier in every other area of my life. And so I think if people can just get to that point as fast as possible, the better chance they have of wanting to stay there. And it's so much easier to sustain it. It truly makes you kind of trigger proof, so that there's really no temptation to ever want to go back to restriction.
Yeah, I totally agree with like doing it, fully and taking like big steps and everything, because like you have to like rewire the brain, and this is what's really gonna rewire the brain, because it can seem that like it's better to do something than nothing, and it's like better for the start, but it's like it can become a trap where a person is like always doing the baby steps, but actually what they're really doing is staying in the eating disorder and quasi recovery, and they will like never fully get out of it, because you can't baby step out of it by still kind of accommodating the eating disorder somewhat. You completely have to forget about accommodating eating disorder. And it's like the sooner you can get to that point, the better it is. And so I'm so glad like you are like bringing this message on, because like people need the reassurance, like go fully, do it fully.
And I do think it's taking the power away from them too. And we tell them, you can take baby steps. You're not a baby. You can totally do this. Like, you're super strong. Your eating disorders made you think you're weak. Professionals may have told you that you can't do it another way, but you absolutely can. Anyone can. If you've had an eating disorder and you've been told that you need to take it slow or follow a meal plan or this or that, with the exception of someone that's at risk for repeating syndrome, which is like less than 1% of the people that are in recovery, then you can go all in. Consider that a win if you can just be like, I'm done with this, and jump in. So
but maybe we can talk a little bit more about your recovery, and because I'm sure like a lot of people can identify you and what you went through. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about like what were the hardest thing in recovery, and how did you finally like overcome that, and how did your mindset change and everything, like your biggest fears, and how did you overcome them?
My biggest fear going into recovery and looking back now, and I say this, I'm like, oh my gosh, that kept me stuck for 20 years ago. Are you kidding me? But my biggest fear was fear of weight gain. Honestly, like that, the thought of my body changing from what it was. And when I started recovery, I was like deep in orthorexia, like really in a really not healthy place physically at all. And the thought of my body changing was like, I almost considered like maybe I'd rather die. I mean, it was really, really intense. And so as I started eating, I started noticing my body was changing rather quickly because it was in such a lean place that anything I had gained was very noticeable. And so it was very terrifying for me. I started feeling my clothes feeling tighter, and my face got swollen. My stomach would blow and look pregnant. And all of those things were so uncomfortable that almost felt unbearable. They almost felt like they might kill me. And I just knew that, like, the kind of like you talked about in your own recovery, like, then kill me, because I'm not going back. I'm not doing this 100 times. Like, I do it once. I'm going to change the way that I'm seeing things. And the reframes, I remember that you would have me write out, like, the things I think about my body, and then I'd kind of reframe it. And I was like, this is baloney. I don't believe any of this, at the beginning. I don't believe this. I'll write it because it sounds like it makes, looks good on paper. But eventually I was like, you know what? Like, I can't believe this stuff. Like, who says I can't believe this? So it's sort of like that fake it till you make it genuinely is kind of what did it for me. One of the hardest parts about weight gain, not only like I literally every single piece of clothing in my wardrobe, even down to like underwear and jackets, like everything I had to get rid of. And that was really, really hard. My best advice for that is get rid of it. Don't hold on to it. But even harder than that was the fear of judgment from other people. I was so afraid that people were going to look at me and be like, something's going wrong with her. Like, she must be having like a major issue in her life. Or is she depressed? Is she letting go? What's wrong with her? And I would have all these thoughts that people were, and again, when I say it out loud now, I'm like, that seriously kept me stuck for 20 years. Like, what other people thought about my body? Like, what? And so it's hard for me to wrap my head around now, but in the moment and during that, when I was going through it, that felt the end of the world to me. I wanted to hide myself. I wanted to wear big baggy clothes. Even going to church on Sundays was hard. Like, oh my gosh, like every week I look so different. It was really, really, really hard, and it happened pretty fast for me. And I will say, and this is such an important thing because I get this a lot from clients, is like, I'm at a healthy weight. I still have a mental hunger. What is wrong with me? I'm at a healthy weight. I still have all these weird eating disorder thoughts. Like, oh yeah, no, those two don't happen at the same time. It's not like your body finds a place it wants to stay at, and you're mentally like, and your brain is fully rewired. Now, I don't know. Have you ever heard of anyone where those two things happen at the same time?
No,
the brain is always slower.
Like, I was normal weight all this time.
Right.
And I had all the mental hunger, like crazy.
Right. Right. So it's like, what I'm trying to say is like, the size of your body and you rewiring your brain are not related at all. It doesn't matter what size you are. And so for me, I think I thought that. So I thought that once I got to a healthy BMI, once I thought that, okay, I look healthy now, normal and whatever, but why am I still thinking these things? And that's where people run back, because what I think is, oh my gosh, I'm in a bigger body and I'm still as messed up as I was before. Like, shoot me. That's the worst case scenario, right? But what they don't know is if they stay the course and they keep pushing themselves past that, and they can really keep working on their brain, keep working on how they view their body, keep trying to overcome whatever fat phobia that they might have, then they might find, or they will find, that stuff that loosens, that grip kind of loosens, and you start to care less, and you find that your brain truly can rewire. But it's just that scary point where it's like, why isn't this working, you think? And it is working. You just have to hold on a little bit longer. So the point of like your biggest fear manifesting, like you have gained the weight but you still have mental hunger, it's kind of like the point you have to keep on pushing forward. Right. Totally. And mental hunger, I thought in recovery, I thought this is never going to go away. Like when I'm bored, I will always be thinking about food. Or when there's food in front of me, I will always want to eat it. I remember thinking that in recovery. And now, like, when I'm genuinely full and satisfied, I mean, unless you're putting like a big fresh piece of cheesecake in front of my face or something, like I genuinely like don't really care to eat it because I'm really full. Where I don't think that would have ever happened. It didn't ever happen in recovery. Still, I would feel so sick full but I would still be thinking about food. And my body clearly wasn't happy where it was at. It knew it needed to, pay off that energy debt. And it needed to trust that I was going to respond to that mental hunger. And so now, and it's interesting because the highlight of my day when I was sick and even in recovery was eating. Like absolutely the thing I look forward to the most was eating. And now being recovered, I can actually say the highlight of my day is sometimes eating, but it's not because of the food, it's because of the people I'm with. So like I love sitting down to dinner with my family and my kids and eat a meal with them. It's not so much that I'm eating food, it's like that act of being together and being a part of something. I love going out to lunch with a friend. That's a highlight of my day. So a lot of the highlights of my day revolve around food, but it's because I can just eat freely and I can enjoy company around me. Yeah. So it's interesting how food still is a joy in my life. It's not like, oh, I don't even care about food. I absolutely love to eat, and I love to be able to enjoy it with other people. And so, but definitely the hardest part was the fear of weight gain. And the other one that comes to mind is the fear of losing my identity. Like I'm so good at my eating disorder. So when this goes away, what am I going to be able to accomplish that's great? How am I going to change the world? I thought. And it was like so much pressure on myself as I was letting go of the eating disorder to feel like I had to do some amazing thing. And the truth is you don't. Like you're naturally going to fall back into whoever you were before your eating disorder. And if you didn't know who you were before your eating disorder, then how exciting that you get to find out. Yeah. And so I think that feel like you have to have this huge, mission or purpose in life to be able to recover is not true. Not at all. It will naturally happen.
Yeah. Even just enjoying like a normal boring day, it's so much more exciting than having like identity with an eating disorder. It's like I can be bored for the rest of my life and fully recovered. It's like,
exactly right. It's so true. It's like even if just recovery means me sitting on the couch watching Netflix and like eating my kids' Halloween candy is recovery, it's worth it. That's fine. It's worth it. Like, yeah. So you do not have to have some big, huge life plans or some big thing that you feel like you're going to have to be good at to let go of your eating disorder. And that was a hard thing for me to kind of recognize and to truly live and experience, but it's the truth. You really don't have to, you don't have to replace it with something else. So. Yeah.
And you will just naturally find your own place. You find your, you get back to your identity, who you were meant to be and everything. And it will just happen, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like a rebirth. It's like a second life. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than my other life.
And also I like to think that, like in the universe, like it doesn't like a vacuum. Like if you, I don't know, take something, it's gonna be replaced by something else. Like in nature, if you take a tree, there's gonna be something else replaced. It's kind of like there's not gonna be like just an empty hole or something. Like of course there's gonna be something that's gonna replace it. And because I think people think like, oh, there's gonna be like an empty hole or like nothingness or something. But it's like, no, this is not how the nature works. There's gonna be something else that's gonna grow from the, what you're gonna weed out or something.
Right. Even if you replace that with like emotional and relationship connections, it's like even if you feel like now that your eating disorder isn't there anymore, you can connect more with people. Like what a great blessing that is. Like it doesn't have to be this big, huge thing that you're replacing it with, but it will naturally, something will come that makes you feel fulfilled, and you will have no need anymore for the eating disorder. So
and I remember like what made me so happy when we were exchanging emails, everything, like once in a while you would send me photos of your family and what did you do, and like this made me so happy because I saw you doing normal everyday stuff and going out with your family or eating something or going vacations and because I remember like when you started recovery, this was one of your goals, right? To be able to eat with your family, spend more time with your family. And now you have all of this, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's so great. I feel like if you can recover from an eating disorder, one, it makes you such a strong person. I feel like this was the hardest thing you'll do in your life. I genuinely believe that. And two, I feel like it makes you appreciate the little things so much more. Yeah. So going on vacation now, I just hop on a plane. I don't have a dang suitcase full of food that I'm eating. I have my scale at the bottom of my suitcase. I can relax and just sit down and enjoy myself. Well, people that haven't recovered from eating disorder may not appreciate that as much as you do when you're recovered. Like these little things, I can sit down and eat cheesecake with my family, and I buy cheesecake pretty regularly. It's in my fridge, and I love that. And it's great that I can just eat it when I want and not have it consume me or cause me anxiety. Like all of these things, I feel like you cherish so much more once you're recovered than somebody who may have never experienced an eating disorder and then been able to see the light. So grateful for it.
Yeah. In one of my recent videos, I talked about like the same thing, that how now I am just so grateful to be able to have like just a normal regular day, and that's it. Because before the normal regular day was filled with like eating disorder stuff. And now once it's all taken, it's kind of like you can see, clearly and with full color and like just appreciate like everything, even the normal boring day or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's just a feeling of calmness. I'm sure you can relate to that. It's just a feeling of calm because it was always everything was so anxiety inducing. I mean, every single action of the day was, how can I get around feeling this anxiety? And I would do whatever it took to not feel the anxiety, but I would still feel anxiety. And so being recovered just feels calm. It just feels very calming.
Yeah. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit, like I know we talked about like how you feel now in recovery, like with your family and the freedom and everything, but how is your relationship with food now, or with your body compared to how it was before?
Yeah, I'll start with body because that was the biggest challenge for me. I truly like respect and appreciate my body so much. Like I don't look at it and pull it apart, tear it apart. I recognize, I'm not delusional. I recognize that it's not what we're seeing on the covers of magazines. I recognize that it's not what all my friends are aspiring to look like. I see that, but I don't care. It's fine. I'm so happy that it's healthy and it has energy and it can do the things that I want to do, and it doesn't hurt. It's not always cold. I'm just so grateful for my body. I genuinely love my body, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way at all. And with food is something that like I eat, it's like when I'm hungry, I eat what I want. It's not this calculated, very like, premeditated choice. It's just kind of like, this is it. Sometimes it means that I'm grabbing something quick and eating it in the car to go get my kids. Sometimes it means that I'm eating an hour earlier than I normally would. Like this, I have a Skype call. Like it's not this rigid structured thing. There's definitely days where I eat more than other days, like absolutely. And in my eating disorder days, that just would not have been okay. Like that had to be the same every day, right? Yeah. And now I notice that there's this kind of ebb and flow. And if I, like find myself, I don't pay a ton of attention, but if I find myself that I'm like overly full from something, naturally I'm not like worrying like, oh my gosh, I'm so full, what do I do now? I have to cut back tonight. Oh my gosh. It just naturally happens that I like serve myself up a plate of food and I get full faster. It's like, that's all there is to it. There's not this, you don't have to intervene or micromanage. It just kind of happens. And that's just the best feeling in the world, really. I don't know how to, it's hard when someone has never experienced that in the thick of an eating disorder to get them to even wrap their head around that. I remember hearing that and being like, not for me, never for me. That will never happen. But if you're sitting there listening and thinking this can't happen, there's no way. Absolutely, there is a way. You definitely can. It takes a lot of work, but you can. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm so happy for you and where you are today and everything. And I know like this will be so inspiring for other people. And now you are also doing YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
YouTube channel and everything. So we will remember in the description. Yeah. So people go and subscribe to your YouTube channel and everything. And yeah, because you have, I think like when I recovered, I felt like I have so much to talk about. Even now, until now, like I feel I have too much to talk about. I feel overwhelmed about like, so many stuff. But I feel like you as like, I'm recovered now and, like so much information I want to share and like just discovering your freedom, like after so many years and yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely very passionate about it. And I don't know if you remember, like when we first started, I didn't even use computers, like hardly ever. And now I have to like run business on a computer and start a YouTube channel and all these things. And social media, I was never really a big fan of, but I feel like if that helps to get my message out and share my story, then I will do it. So yeah, the YouTube channel has been really fun, and hopefully it's helping people, and I'd love to have more people join it. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's helping people, like, for sure. Yeah. So I guess this is it, and we will put all the links in the description, so you can go and contact Becky, and you can read about the treatment center. You can subscribe to her YouTube channel, and who knows, maybe in the future we're gonna do more interviews with Becky or something, because I feel like we would have so much still to talk about in various areas. So
yeah, totally. And I also offer coaching. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link. I'll give you a link for that. But I also offer coaching. I really, really love doing that. So
yeah, it's amazing. Like, you are now a coach. Like, I can't even believe it. Yeah, it's so cool.
That's something that was very motivating for me throughout my recovery, though, was like seeing how much that you, Tabitha, as well, were helping me, made me feel like I wanted to do this. Like, this genuinely changes changes people's recovery process. Like, this genuinely does help. So I'm a true believer of that firsthand. And so absolutely, that was very encouraging, motivating for me to get to full recovery so I can turn around and do that. So yeah, I really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And who knows,
thanks, Lisa.
Maybe we're going to see you more in the future in my channel.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. It was good talking to you.
Yeah. Bye.